What's up guys? Welcome back to Toon Duelists. In this video I'm going to show you my Blue-Eyes-Primite deck profile. And I'm really excited to show this one to you guys because it's actually my first Blue-Eyes deck ever. Like, I don't know why I always avoided building a Blue-Eyes deck, but it all changed of course with the new structure deck, Blue-Eyes White Destiny, which is probably the best product Yu-Gi-Oh! Released in the recent years. Is also very beginner friendly. I mean, the combos are basically always the same. It's not that hard to play actually, which is also kind of a downside for me. You know, I've been testing this deck a lot recently and you kind of repetitively do the same thing over and over again, which is kind of boring, but nonetheless, the Blue-Eyes White Dragon is one of the most legendary cards in the whole game, if not the best known Yu-Gi-Oh! Card of all time. Blue-Eyes and Kaiba, of course, legendary characters, so it's definitely worth it. And with the Primite engine that fits the deck perfectly, of course, it gets to full power and you can really compete on a meta level with this deck. So I'm really excited to show it to you guys. If you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing. This would really help us a lot. And without further ado, let's dive right into it. Alright guys, as always, we start things off with the monsters, and the first one we're talking about is the brand new Maiden of White. Amazing card right here. I love the wink to the anime with this one. And of course it has some amazing effects for us, because this level 1 tuner has the effect that you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard to place a true light from your hand, deck or graveyard face up in your spell and trap zone, which is already amazing. But it gets even better because if you special summon a Blue-Eyes White Dragon while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. And this is probably the most important effect, because whenever a Blue-Eyes hits the field, this card comes back from the grave and you can just instantly go into your synchro plays. So really amazing right here. It even goes further, because when a card or effect is activated that targets this card on the field, or when this card is targeted for an attack, quick effect, you can special summon a Blue-Eyes White Dragon or one level 1 light tuner from your graveyard. Now this last effect isn't that important actually, because most of the time, if you even summon it, you use it straight up as link material for your link 1, but the graveyard effect is amazing. Also placing True Light directly from a deck is also just amazing. Crazy good card and a definite 3-off right here. The next Blue-Eyes card we run are 3 copies of Sage with Eyes of Blue. Also really great card right here, again level 1 light tuner, and when this card is normal summoned you can add a level 1 light tuner from your deck to your hand, except itself. Also you can discard this card to target an effect monster you control, send it to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon a Blue-Eyes monster from your deck. Both effects are actually pretty useful right here. Of course it lets you add your Maiden, or even Effect Veiler, which is already pretty amazing. And also the special summoning Blue-Eyes is pretty great, of course. You can send any of your link monsters, for example, get out of Blue-Eyes, bring back Maiden, for example. So just very versatile card, of course, also material for your link 1. So yeah, great card right here, and also definite 3-off. And to round up the Blue-Eyes cards, because we don't run that much Blue-Eyes monsters actually, we of course run 2 copies of the classic Blue-Eyes White Dragon. Amazing card right here. By the way, also love the fact that they gave us this amazing artwork in the structure deck. And yeah, what can I say? The ultimate monster. Strongest normal monster up until today actually. Now you only need 2, you don't want to see it in your starting hand, but you need more than 1 so you can go really crazy with your combo, so 2 is the perfect ratio right here. Next up we have to talk about the card I wasn't able to get my hands on so far, which is Primite Dragon Ether Barrel. Really amazing card and also a definite 3-off in this deck. Sadly, of course, the prices of this one keep going up because it is just amazing in this deck. Because it's not only a dragon monster, but it also has the effect that if this card is normal summoned, you can set a Primite spell or trap from your deck. So already amazing searcher for your Primite engine right here. Also, once per turn, you can tribute this card to send a normal monster from your deck to the graveyard, and during your standby phase, if you have a normal monster in your field or graveyard, which you will always have, you can add this card from the graveyard to your hand. So it recycles itself. It's one of the searchers and starters for your whole Primite engine. Amazing card right here. Also level 4 dragon, which means you can use it for your Link 1, which is also amazing and probably actually one of the best starters we have in this deck. And guys, that's already it for the engine monsters. The rest is all non-engine. We of course run 3 Effect Veiler right here. It's searchable in this deck. A level 1 light tuner. You can even use it also for your link plays. Just amazing. Then of course we also go with Ash Blossom right here. Still one of the most played hand traps and still one of the best definitely. Then we also play 3 copies of Nibiru. Also amazing card. And most of the time you won't have a problem dealing with the token anyways. Now, and I also chose to run 3 copies of Lancia in this deck. Just in the current meta against Malice, this card is amazing and really strong. Of course, you can replace it with any other non-engine hand trap you want. Before we move on to the spells, let me just quickly tell you what you could replace your Primate Dragon Ether Barrel with. My suggestion would be a small Bestial Engine, so 1 Magnamut, 1 Druris Worm and 1 Baldrake. Would just be great always. Of course, DD Crow, they're dragons, they search you, your dragon. Guys, that's already it for the monsters. So for the spells, we start things off with the brand new Wishes for Eyes of Blue. Not only amazing artwork, but also incredibly strong card and a definite 3-off because this normal spell lets you discard a card to add a level 1 light tuner and 1 spell trap that mentions Blue-Eyes White Dragon from your deck to your hand except itself, which is already amazing, searches you 2 cards, just crazy good. You can also banish this card from your graveyard to target a Blue-Eyes White Dragon you control and equip a Blue-Eyes monster from your extra deck to it as a equip spell that gives it 400 attack, which is also great to set up for some fusion summons we can do. So just all in all, crazy good cards and definite 3-off. Next up, we also run 1 copy of Mausoleum of White. Also great card, searchable in this deck with our Link 1 monster, of course, which is also the reason we only need 1. And it has the effect that during your main phase you can normal summon 1 level 1 light tuner in addition to your normal summon, which is already great to build up your board, of course. Also, once per turn, you can target 1 face-up monster you control, send a normal monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and if you do, the targeted monster gains attack and defense equal to the level of the monster sent to the graveyard times 100 until the end of this turn. So just a good way to get rid of your blue eyes out of the deck into the grave. And also, you can banish this card from your graveyard to add a Burst Stream of Destruction from your deck to your hand. Well, personally, I don't think Burst Stream is that good of a card to add it to our arsenal, but of course, if you want to, you can, but the extender effect is the reason we want to run this card. And next up, we also run 1 Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragons. Also beautiful artwork right here, and an amazing effect because you can special summon in defense position 1 Blue Eyes monster from your deck, graveyard or banishment, but if you control no Blue Eyes White Dragon, you can only special summon Blue Eyes White Dragon with this effect. Also, you can special summon from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, except dragon monsters. Also, you can banish this card from your graveyard to fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field, including a Blue Eyes monster, which is also kind of useful, but of course special summoning a Blue Eyes directly from a deck is just amazing. This card is easily searchable in this deck, obviously, with Wishes for example, so 1 copy is definitely enough right here. And next up is one of the Primite cards I was clever enough to grab when it was still cheap, which is Primite Lordly Load. Now, most of you will probably be glad it gets a reprint, but this card is just amazing. This permanent spell has the effect that if it is activated, you can add a Primite card from a deck to your hand, except itself. Also, you can declare a normal monster card's name, special summon 1 of the declared normal monsters from your hand, deck, or graveyard in defense position, but also you can't activate the effects of special summon monsters on the field this turn. You can only use each effect once per turn, and normal monsters and Primate monsters you control gain 300 attack for each normal monster with different names in your graveyard. Now, the attack raise is, of course, as always, boring. The important part right here is that it searches your Primite card. That's a big deal right here. And also, of course, special summoning a Blue Eyes from your deck is also amazing. And actually, the downside of, not being able to use the effects of special summon monsters is not that big of a deal for us also, which is just surprisingly good in this deck, and of course makes this a top card and a definite 3-off right here. Next, we also have to talk about Primite Drill Beam right here, of course. Amazing quick spell right here, and the one we want to search with our Lordly Load, which has the effect that you can reveal a Primite card or a normal monster in your hand, except itself, or if you control a normal monster or level 5 or higher Primite monster, except a token, you can activate this effect without revealing a card. Then you target a face-up card on the field, negate its effects, and if you do, banish it. Just amazing Omni-Negate, and of course the conditions for this card are easily met. You either have another Primite card in hand, which can also be another copy of Drill Beam, of course, or a Blue Eyes on the field, which is not a problem for us most of the time, thanks to True Light. So this is just a constant Omni-Negate and banish, just amazing. And it gets even better because during your main phase, if you control a Primite monster, you can set this card from your graveyard. Now, of course, you can recycle your Ether Barrel Dragon, so you can also most of the time recycle your Drill Beam, which is the reason most decks only run one copy. Just personally, I think we still have a lot of non-engine in this deck. This one is an Omni-Negate and banish, and it works even without all the other Primate cards. It can work with just a Blue Eyes monster or your Blue Eyes White Dragon as a normal monster on the field. So for me personally, there's no reason to not run 3 of this. Just an amazing good card, and we round things up with one Pot of Prosperity. As you've already seen, this deck runs a lot of non-engine, which is on the one hand a thing that makes this deck incredibly strong, but on the other hand is of course a big brick potential right here to just draw in hand traps and you have no engine. So one Pot of Prosperity can help you with that. It's limited, so of course we only run one. And guys, that's it for the spells. So for the traps, we start things off with Majesty of the White Dragons. Again, beautiful artwork, they just nail it with those Blue Eyes artworks. And this card has the effect that you can show up to 3 of the Blue Eyes White Dragon in your hand, face up monster zone or graveyard, and then destroy an equal number of cards your opponent controls. So since we run through our 2 Blue Eyes very quickly, we can most of the time just crush 2 cards on the field with this trap. You can also banish this card from the graveyard to ritual summon a ritual monster from your hand by tributing Blue Eyes White Dragons from your hand or field whose total level equals its level. Now we don't run the Chaos or the Chaos Max Dragon right here, so the second effect doesn't bother us, but it's just a great interruption. We can search it, so 1 is of course enough. Next up, we also of course play 1 True Light right here. Also again, great nod to the anime where they used to summon those monsters from stone tablets back in the Egyptian days. Great one right here. And also a great card because this permanent trap has the effect that your opponent can target Blue Eyes White Dragon in your monster zone with card effects. Also, if this face-up card is sent from the spell and trap zone to the graveyard, you have to destroy all monsters you control. But the good part starts now, because you can activate one of these effects. You either special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand or graveyard, or you set a spell or trap from your deck that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon with a different name from the cards you control and in your graveyard. Which is also partly the reason we run a lot of one-offs right here, for example Majesty or Raw. But also, of course, just special summoning a Blue Eyes White Dragon from hand or graveyard is just amazing. Helps you with your Drill Beam to, in your opponent's turn, bring out a Blue Eyes so Drill Beam's conditions are met and you have your Omni-Negate. So just amazing card. Of course, you can set it directly from a deck with your Maiden, or you can search it with other cards, so 1 is definitely, of course, enough. And as always, we round things up with 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Still one of the best hand traps, of course. And yeah, guys, that's it for the main deck. So for the extra deck, we start things off with 2 copies of Spirit with Eyes of Blue. Crazy good card. I mean, every Link 1 is always broken, and this one is also broken because it only needs a level 4 or lower Dragon or Spellcaster monster, and you cannot special summon except Dragon monsters while this card is on the field. Also, if this card is link summoned, you can take a Mausoleum of White from your deck and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. So this one is a searcher right here. You can also tribute this card to special summon a Blue Eyes monster from your hand or graveyard, but if you special summon an effect monster from your graveyard, it can't attack and its effects are negated. Now, most of the time we bring out our vanilla Blue Eyes, so this doesn't really bother us. This card is just your combo starter. You start with your Maiden, your Sage, or your Primite Dragon. Go into this one, bring out your Blue Eyes, bring back Maiden, go into Synchro play, and that's how things get started. That's also the reason we need to do this over and over again if our board gets crushed, of course. Now, you can also argue to play 3 of this one. In my experience, 2 was totally fine. Next, we also play 1 Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres. Also light dragon monsters, so we can always bring this guy out even if we're locked. Only needs 2 dragon monsters, easy. And once per turn, if this card is in the extra monster zone, quick effect, you contribute a monster from your hand or field and return a face-up card on the field to the hand. And most of the time, you will tribute itself, because if this card is tributed, you can special summon a dragon monster from your hand or deck, make its attack and defense 0. But the effects are still live, which is really amazing and can just help you bounce back a card, great interruption, bring out one of your dragons, for example, your Primite Ether Barrel Dragon. So just amazing card right here. And yeah, if you have some dragons left over on your field, it's always just great to go into this one. But one is most of the time definitely enough. Next up, we play 3 copies of Blue-Eyes Spirit Dragon. Your go-to level 9 synchro monster right here. Now, I've seen a lot of profiles only playing 2. I can totally see why, but in my opinion, if everything goes right, you're even able to bring out 3 of those bad boys, and it's of course one of your winning conditions, basically the bread and butter of this deck. So in my opinion, you have to play 3 because this card is just amazing. Neither player can special summon 2 or more monsters at the same time while this card is on the field, which is already great. And once per turn, when an effect or card in the graveyard is activated, quick effect, you can negate the activation. But the best part is yet to come, because as a quick effect, you can tribute the synchro summon card and special summon a light dragon synchro monster from your extra deck in defense position, but destroyed during the end phase, which is just crazy good and gives you tons of different interactions with your opponent, which makes this card so great. In my opinion, definite 3 of. And one light dragon we can bring out with our Spirit Dragon is, for example, Black Rose Moonlight Dragon. Also, amazing card right here. We can only bring it out with our Spirit Dragon, of course, but if this card is special summoned or a level 5 or higher monster is special summoned to your opponent's side of the field, you can target a special summon monster your opponent controls and return the target to your hand. Amazing card right here. As a quick effect, you just switch out your Spirit Dragon, bring out your Black Rose Moonlight Dragon, and bounce a card on the field. Great interruption right here. Next up, we also run 1 copy of Lightstorm Dragon. Of course, also, you can bring this guy out with your Spirit Dragon, but you can also classically synchro summon it because it's a level 9 dragon, so no problem right here. If this card is special summoned, you can target spells and traps on the field up to the number of normal monsters in your graveyard +1 and destroy them. So most of the time, at least 2 or even 3 spell and traps you can pop with this card. Just really, really great. Also, if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, which it will if you bring it out with Spirit Dragon, you can target a spell and trap in your graveyard, set it, but it cannot be activated unless you control a normal monster, which is, again, not a problem in a Blue-Eyes deck. So not only destroys spells and traps on the field, but also recycles one of your own spells and traps. Just amazing card right here. Then of course, I guess most of you already waited for this one. We of course play Blue-Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon. With Maiden, one of the cover cards of the new structure deck, and for a good reason, because this card can of course also be brought up with Spirit Dragon. That's also what we're going to do most of the time. And while this card is on your field, your opponent cannot banish cards from your graveyard. So just no DD Crow for you at all. Also, once per turn, when a card or effect is activated on the field, quick effect, you can negate the activation, and if you do, this card gains 1000 attack until the end of this turn. So just a straight up Omni Negate on top right here. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, which it will with Spirit Dragon, keep this in mind, you can special summon a light dragon monster from your graveyard except itself. So just crazy good card, bring it out, Omni Negate. Your opponent can't banish from your graveyard, and if it is destroyed in the end phase, you bring back one of your dragons. Amazing card right here. Now next up is also one of the cards I would like to play if it wasn't that pricey, which is, of course, Crimson Dragon. As a light dragon monster, fits the description perfectly, and has the effect that if this card is special summoned, you can add a spell or trap that mentions Crimson Dragon from a deck to your hand. Doesn't bother us, we don't play one. But quick effect, you can target one level 7 or higher synchro monster on the field except itself, return this card to the extra deck, and if you do, special summon one dragon synchro monster from your extra deck with the same level as the targeted monster. And this is the important part. Now, because if you manage to bring out 2 Spirit Dragons, you use the first one to bring out your Ultimate Dragon, then you use the second one to bring out Crimson Dragon, then you can target your Crimson Dragon to bring out another level 12 Dragon Synchro Monster, and this will, most of the time, be your Cosmic Blazer Dragon. Also, amazing card right here. And I know that in a lot of profiles, they play the Stardust Cipher Divine Dragon, which makes sense because Cipher Dragon is also a light dragon monster, so if you're locked in some ways, you can still bring this one out. But in my opinion, Blazer Dragon is the better choice because of course Cipher Dragon has the protection effect, but it only has a monster negate right here, and of course then a pop of 1 card on the field. But our Cosmic Blazer Dragon is way more versatile, which is the reason I prefer this one, because as a quick effect you can banish this card until the end phase to activate one of these effects. When your opponent activates a card or effect, negate the activation and destroy that card. So Omni. Or when your opponent would summon a monster, negate the summon, and if you do destroy that monster, summon negate. Or when your opponent's monster declares an attack, negate the attack and end the battle phase. So battle protection. But of course, as always, let me know what you think about it in the comments. Next up, we talk about the fusion monsters and we play 1 copy of Neo Blue-Eyes-Ultimate Dragon. Also amazing card right here that of course needs 3 Blue-Eyes White Dragons. And at the end of the damage step, if this fusion summoned card attacked and is the only face-up card you control, you can send a Blue-Eyes fusion monster from your extra deck to the graveyard, and this card can attack again in a row. And you can use this effect up to twice per turn actually. Also, when a card or effect is activated that targets a Blue-Eyes monster you control, quick effect, you can banish this card from the graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. Now, the second effect is actually the important one, because most of the time we will just use our Wishes for Eyes of Blue to equip one of our Blue-Eyes monsters with this Neo Blue-Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Then we use it for Synchro Summon or do something different with it, so our Neo Blue-Eyes is in the grave, and then we have this negate for our targeting effect in our graveyard, which is just great. But of course, that's the reason why 1 is totally enough. And next up, we run 2 copies of Blue-Eyes Tyrant Dragon. Also amazing card right here, and has the effect that it must either be fusion summoned or special summoned from your extra by attributing 1 Blue-Eyes White Dragon equipped with a fusion monster. Now, and that's the point. If you use wishes to equip one of your Blue-Eyes with the Ultimate Dragon, you can just tribute it to bring out your Tyrant Dragon. Already great. Also, this card is unaffected by trap cards or effects, and it can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. And once per turn, at the end of the damage step, if this card battle, you can target a trap in your graveyard and set it. So it helps you recycle your True Light, for example, or one of your other traps, of course, and can also be fusion summoned by using Raw of the Blue-Eyes, of course. So if you want to do it that way, that's also possible, and that's also the reason we run 2, because we can bring it out with various ways, either by tributing a monster equipped with our Ultimate Dragon or with Raw. And then of course we round things up with Super Star Slayer Typhoon Sky Crisis. Also a card I sadly do not own at the moment. Hope it gets a reprint soon. And also amazing card because during the turn or turn after your opponent special summon 2 or more monsters from the extra deck, you can also XC summon this card by using 1 monster you control with the highest attack. Also, if you do, you cannot special summon or normal summon monsters for the rest of this turn. And while this XC summon monster is on the field, neither player can activate the effects of monsters with 3000 or more attack. And once per turn, you can detach a material from this card, return a monster from the field to the hand. So Typhoon is just a great way out in a lot of various situations. That's why it's played in almost every deck nowadays. Great card right here, of course. Now, before we finish things up, just like with Ether Barrel, I want to show you a budget alternative for Crimson, Cosmic Blazer, and Typhoon right here, because you could also play the Lena Selene and then Access Code Talker. This would also be a great link climb you can do. So you get into your Access Code Talker and have your OTK potential that way. And guys, that's it for the extra deck. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. If you liked it, definitely leave a like, a subscription and a comment. Let me know what you think about this deck. This would really help us a lot, and we're always happy to read and answer your comments, of course. Now, normally I would also do a combo video, but as I've already mentioned, sadly I'm missing some essential combo pieces, Ether Barrel Dragon and Crimson Dragon, so I don't think a combo video does make really a lot of sense right here. I already showed you how you can replace those cards, so if you want to see a combo video with those replacements, I could definitely upload that. And yeah, until next time, have a good one.